turn your mics and camera on again.
In order to bring them to the stage. They are not on stage right now, so I'm going to bring them on stage. Sometimes it does that. There we go. Now you guys should be able to get in.
Yep, I should be in.
There we go. We're good. All right. Well, I'm going to get us live on LinkedIn, and we are going to get rolling, guys. So,
yeah. Are we rolling?
We will be in just a moment. Just got that pause. All right, everyone. Welcome once again to the Exit Your Way Business Roundtable, where we help people with hopefully interesting events and learning and getting to meet other people. I see the chat's already rolling. Great to see Mark and Jill. Andrew chipped in, Majid. Good stuff, guys. We got the chat to the right. Now we're going to be talking about some interesting stuff today. If you're listening to us live on LinkedIn, go ahead and tell us where you're listening from. And if you've got some questions for our speakers, go ahead and drop them in your comments on LinkedIn. I'm watching LinkedIn over here too. So if you see me doing this, that's what I'm doing. I'm looking at your comments over on LinkedIn. We're going to get going here. I'm really excited today because we're going to be talking about IoT Industry 4.0 and how this is being used around us. So we've got a couple speakers here that we'll introduce later. We've got Majid and Clayton. They're going to be telling us about some of the cool things they're doing. If you are listening or you are on the tables out here, go ahead and drop your LinkedIn URL in the chat. People will connect with you. And we have Chris Rangel, who just dropped in. He's listening to us from Florida. Good to see you, Chris, on LinkedIn. So without further ado, we're going to start. And Majid and Clayton have no idea what we're going to go through right now. So part of what we do, which is always, it's kind of fun, is we pull everybody up so they can say hello, introduce themselves, and then they can go ahead and answer our question of the day. So we're going to have short introductions. We're going to talk a little bit. People are going to answer my mystery question of the day. So I pick one. I search the internet far and wide to find the wisest questions of the day. And if that isn't BS, I don't know what is. So no problem. Yeah, so we're going to bring someone up. So Andrew's going to be pulling people up as we're doing this. If you're on LinkedIn, go ahead and answer the question yourself there, Chris, or anyone else that's listening.
Who gets to go first today?
Who gets to go first, Andrew?
The first victim?
Yeah.
Let's see, Professor Pete.
Professor Pete Alexander, how are you today, man?
I'm great, gentlemen. How are you guys doing?
Well, that was a random draw. Your name came up there.
Hey, so. That's okay. That's totally okay. Usually with Alexander, I'm one of the first ones, but on this one, I'm usually one of the last ones. So okay, I knew I was due.
We usually pick on Andrew, but Andrew Deutsch, but we'll give him a break this week.
Yeah. Well, Pete, we can't complain about the weather in the Northwest lately. We've had a little clouds, but boy, it's sure been nice when it's not cloudy.
That's right. That's absolutely right. It's cloudy right now for me, but it's supposed to be partly cloudy later. So looking forward to that.
Yeah. We're looking for a couple nice days here. So, Pete, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you're helping people, and then we'll get to the question of the day.
Sure. So in addition to being the host of the popular Winning at Business and Life podcast, I'm the president of Office Plants by Everything Grows, and we help companies reduce stress, improve productivity, and receive outstanding ROI through the methodical design and placement of lush living plants in work environments.
Yeah. Now I just said that Pete is understating the fact that he does a podcast. You've done like 250, 260 episodes of the thing now.
Yeah, I just recorded the 275th yesterday, and I published. I forgot. I just published this morning. Some 260 something.
Yeah, and your company where you're helping office people with the live plants. I think that's interesting because A, I would kill everyone if it was me doing it, but B, live plants really help a lot.
They do. They actually, part of the reason that I bought the business back in 2005 was because, lush living plants actually reduce stress and improve productivity. It's not a bunch of BS. There's actually science behind it.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, this is a question that I don't usually ask questions like this, but I want to know, what is the favorite thing? What do you think your favorite thing is about yourself?
What is the favorite thing I think about myself?
Yeah, the favorite thing you like about yourself.
Probably, if I was going to
Where
say,
he gets this stuff
the first
from.
thing that comes to mind is my encyclopedia of jokes that I know, and you've experienced a couple of those, Damon, on other calls.
Yeah.
And so it just, it's one of those things that comes out. I have this ability that in a conversation I hear a key word and boom, I know the joke. And sometimes, I share it. Sometimes I don't. It depends on the situation.
Yeah, and the crowd and the joke that comes to mind, I'm sure, has a lot to do with that.
Absolutely, you know it exactly.
That's so awesome. Thanks so much, Pete. Glad to have you here today.
Yeah, thanks for hosting.
You bet. AJ, great to see you again.
Hey guys, how are you?
I'm
Hey,
doing
so
awesome.
just real quick, I also invited Troy McCoy up, and I'm not sure. I think he's fairly new here, but if you, Troy, if you can hear us, you'll want to turn your camera mic on when you come up on stage.
Yep.
Anyways, go ahead. Sorry about that.
Oh no, good. Well, AJ, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you're helping people.
This is AJ. I'm from India, so I'm into the IT staffing. So throughout the US, so I work as a recruiter, business development manager for IT companies. So I work on the mostly IT roles like developers, admins, Salesforce, QA, and all this kind of stuff.
Yep. So AJ is helping, and this is relevant to you guys, Majid and Clayton. He helps manufacturers mostly in the U.S. source remote IT staff that can support their systems. So good stuff. So what do you think what is your favorite thing about yourself, AJ?
So first I thought that first victim would be me. Luckily, Professor paid for the first victim. So if you just look into that, see, I have two qualities. So way I like about myself is like, see, I'm very sensitive to the things. So I just what I mean to say is just like, if anything is going bad, so I just feel that, see, I need to help something to do get better, and obviously first quality is one. The second thing is I like my voice a lot.
All right. Awesome. Good stuff, man.
Which I like a lot.
Great, AJ. Awesome to have you here today, man. Love to see you around. Thanks for stopping by.
Nice to be over here.
Yeah. Have a great rest of your evening. Stu, how are you today, sir?
I am well, thank you.
Awesome. So, can you still hear us? Your video cut out a little bit, but we're good yet if you can still hear us.
I can hear you. Are you
Awesome.
still able to hear us? Okay.
Yeah, we're good. We're good, man. So, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you're helping people, Stu.
So my primary business is with Peridot Business Solutions, and I'm the president and founder, and our focus is on helping small businesses. And our biggest niche in that is actually trying to help a lot of these small businesses get access into government grants, just to help them push ahead and get across that finish line. When I'm not busy playing on the computer and helping these businesses, I spend time in the shop, and I work the shop, and I ground myself, and I have great delight in playing around with all things wood.
Yeah. And Stu, your wood creations are incredible, dude. I look at them and you share. I really like the way that you share the different types of wood when you go into your suppliers and take pictures of the different types of wood and describe them. That's cool stuff. It's cool stuff. Well, what is your favorite thing about yourself, Stu?
You know what? My favorite thing, I think, is the fact that I had to learn to grow up. And as a kid growing up through the foster homes and through a system that was a little bit broken, I always thought that I wasn't going to make it, because you were always that person that was kind of pushed out and the person that people said wouldn't amount to anything. And I think my favorite thing is the fact that when I was young, I set an intent in my mind that they were never going to stop me, and that I would rise above everything that they ever set in front of me. And I would only use it as an obstacle rather than it actually being something that stopped me.
Yeah.
So my favorite thing is that I was able to rise above, and that is a daily motivation for me still today that keeps me going.
That's awesome, dude.
That's fantastic.
Incredible, man. So happy you shared that with us. Golly. Thanks so much, Stu. Thanks so much for being here today. It's incredible, man. Just thank you. Mark, my
Damon.
friend, guitar behind you as usual.
Still
How are
there.
things today?
Good, thank you. It's great to see you. Great to see you guys. Always good to be here. A little cloudy here in Chicago, but I'll take it. It's warm.
Yeah. So tell us how you're helping people, man.
Yeah, I'm a fractional COO, and I work with small businesses and startups, particularly visionary CEOs who they've got a vision, but they need some help with the strategy and execution. My background is in e-commerce operations, so that included digital marketing, product development, customer service. And I've got a client now. I'm looking at other clients, really helping people grow their business and scale it for sustainable growth and profitability.
Yeah, awesome, man. And Mark is pretty subdued about it, what he really did, because when you get into his background and really understand how he went with his e-commerce experience, it's really pretty incredible when you look at the tripling or quadrupling the size of a company and to the size that he did. It really is something. And I just feel fortunate to be able to talk to you about those things and get to know you better.
Thank you, Damon. I really appreciate that encouragement. And
Yeah.
I'd rather have you say that than me. I really appreciate that.
Oh. So what is your favorite thing about yourself, Mark?
I think I'm open-minded and I'm fair-minded, so I can see both sides of the coin typically, and I think that helps me, when it comes to negotiating with people and understanding there's an empathy there. So really, different points of view, kind of seeing both different points of view, and then trying to come to some kind of leading people to consensus.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And that's a gift, really. You can learn it somewhat, but it really is innate almost when you like to bring people together to come up with better ideas as a group.
Right. I think there's some, family of origin stuff there too, kind of negotiating and being that guy.
Yeah. Good stuff, man. Good
Thanks.
stuff. Thanks for being here today, Mark.
Good to see you. My pleasure.
Yeah, great to see you, man. Jill, my friend from Portland, how are you today?
I'm so good. How are you?
I am incredible. Every day that we can wake up and do what we love to do, it is an awesome day. And every day that we can wake up, it's an awesome day. So it's a doubly awesome day.
Yes. Yeah.
So tell us about yourself. How are you helping people?
Well, I'm working with small business service providers, and I work with them to develop their staff from mediocre to amazing. And I love that because it provides more certainty for the future for those small business owners, those business leaders. And I have figured out how to do it without any service disruption, without having to start from scratch. We get to just keep working as business is going and making things better. So it's a joy to be doing that.
Awesome. And I know that it's great seeing your stuff and how you're helping people. I just love the stuff that you do.
Thank you.
So Jill, our question of the day, what is your favorite thing about yourself?
My favorite thing is my tenacity. Like, I just don't know how to give up. And that's been really beneficial for my own personal life, but I also take that spirit and that attitude to the people that I work with. My friends, I'm going to, instill that in them. I'm going to fight for them. I'm going to work with them, my clients. So that's my favorite.
Nice.
I don't quit.
Nice. That's a good one. That'll take you far. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Awesome. Great to have you here today, Jill. Jacob Warren.
Yes.
The man with the beard in our group. So how are things today?
Things today are absolutely awesome. It's been a wonderful morning so far, and yesterday was great. This week has just been full of a whole bunch of different things, so it's been really good.
Awesome. Well, I think you will be interested in the guys' talk today because you are a technology guy. And tell us a little bit about how you're helping people, man.
Yeah, I help people by making technology work, managing it, taking care of it, making it where you can just focus on running and growing your business. That's the most important thing. We put people ahead of the technology and customize the technology and make sure it's working for what you're trying to do. So that's about as simple as I can put it into a little nutshell.
Yeah. That's awesome, man, because you do make it simple. And when Jacob works on your stuff, it's like Jacob's not even around. It just works. That's the good thing.
IT magic.
Yeah, it just works, man. That's a good thing. So what is your favorite thing about yourself?
So, it's interesting when you're put on the spot to answer a question like this about yourself.
Yeah.
And I was going back and forth in my head, and I boiled it down to, I think the thing that I like about myself is, and I know it sounds all Philly and touchy and all that stuff, but it's actually the heart. The reason I say that is not a lot of people realize, but we tend, when we pass people, they say, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" And, "Oh yeah, I care about you." But the truth is when I'm actually talking to somebody, or whether I just met them or whatever, my heart actually really is concerned about them and really wants the best for them. And so I think I learned that from my grandfather the most, and I'll contribute to that, is just genuinely caring and loving on people for who they are, where they are, what they're doing.
That's awesome, dude. That's
true.
all I can say about it. That's just awesome, man.
Thank you. It kind of gets you where when somebody says that's awesome, it's like, okay, yeah,
Yeah, I know.
just
But
me.
hey, that's great that you shared it. I think that's incredible, dude. Thanks so much. Thanks so much.
Cool, Jacob.
Awesome. Great to have you here today, man. Grant, wonderful to see you from sunny California. So how are things today?
Not so sunny, but we're good.
Yeah.
Can never complain about the weather in California. People beat me up if I try that.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about how you're helping people and what you're doing.
The short version: manufacturing to reduce contaminant exposures in consumer skincare, and manufacturing a landfill degradable packaging. I've been reaching out all over the place, and so thanks for the support. And if anybody's got some ideas about that manufacturing these small plastic bottles, I could use some help on that. But I think the main thing that I guess I would like to unpack at this point is that industrial practices are contaminating our biosphere at a global scale, and so this is our way of pushing back on that.
Yeah. So Grant's helping. They have a clean skincare line, and then they've got a packaging that breaks down in the landfills and anaerobically in landfills. So it's really a end-to-end solution that's better. If you've looked at your lotions or anything else you use in skincare, there's a lot of stuff in there that you really don't know what it is. And then it's in a bottle that if you think about all these little bottles that we buy of this lotion and what happens to them after, it's not a pretty picture. So great to have you here today, Grant. So what is your favorite thing about yourself?
I am entirely redeemable. You know, like everybody else, I'll make mistakes, but I'm pretty good at recovering. And I think in my darkest moments, that's kind of helped me realize that, you know, I'll figure things out and get better.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's a great one because, you know, I think especially as we put a few years on, that gets easier to realize that no matter where we're at, there is a solution if we just take the first step and the second step and the third step. But good stuff, man. Great to have you here, Grant. Awesome to see you again.
Thank you.
Andrew Deutsch, how are you today, sir?
I'm good, guys. How are you?
I am awesome. Andrew Deutsch, our resident video expert and strategic marketing expert. So tell us about how you're helping people, Andrew.
We help people get unstuck and grow by taking them back to the core and building an actual strategy based on their customer or customers and what matters to them, as well as how you as a company can differentiate to make and beat all of the other alternative solutions to your customers' problems and challenges.
Yes. Yeah. And when you hear Andrew talk about making your customers and everyone that you touch voracious advocates, I encourage you to have a couple conversations with him about that, because I learned so much just talking to you every single time.
Oh,
I mean,
thank you.
We just talked yesterday on the phone for a few minutes and you're blowing my mind again. So I was like, whew, yeah, awesome stuff.
I just blew my own mind there.
Yeah.
Does that help?
That might not be a good blowing of the mind.
It was a twofer. It was a twofer.
Take that course.
Well, it's getting out of hand.
Yeah.
Mute him. Mute him.
Well, Andrew, answer the question of the day. What is your favorite thing about yourself?
I think it's what I now bring to the table creatively after spending most of my life living outside of mine and everyone else's comfort zone and embracing difference and learning from it.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And blowing shit up on the screen. That's always good.
Yeah. That's a given. That's a given.
Hey, one quick thing while I can steal the stage. I'm working on a project. We're looking for guinea pigs for a potential podcast. Myself and another partner who will be nameless until you get to see how cool this is. We're looking for people who are stuck in their business from a marketing perspective to be a guest on a podcast with two experts to flesh out an idea for 30 minutes. So if you know of anyone who is in a tough place, doesn't have the money to pay for an actual consultant and wants what would normally be a $500 session for free, send me a message or a note of those people and I'll pre-interview and see if they're a fit for what we're doing.
Awesome. Great. That's awesome, Andrew. I hope people that are listening on LinkedIn or in the group here that want to take advantage of it, I'd say jump on it. You will benefit from it.
They will win if they join the show.
Nice. Good stuff. There's a lot of ways you can go with that show. So great. So Dennis, how are you today?
Hey, we're doing great. Thank you for asking. And
Last but not least.
Okay. So what we do is we independently help businesses and personal folks understand their risk, their insurance risk, and then we pass that risk off to somebody else that will take care of it for them when there's a catastrophe. And so that's what we do. It's a little bit different than what you would think an insurance guy would do, but and we really care about what we do, and it's a fun gig, and we're here. We're moving along. Relatively new business, and so we're doing great. Can I tag on to something that you said, Damon?
Yeah.
Okay, so a guy told me one year, a long time ago, that I'm not who I think I am. I'm not who you think I am. I am what I think you think I am. And so I've kind of lived with that for years. And whenever I see somebody, I go, what are they thinking about me, and how do they think about me as I go along? And so that's what I try to live by. But anyway, what's my favorite thing about myself? It comes down to about 3 different words: tenacity, empathy, and resilience. And I have that kind of rolled into my makeup, and that's what I do. So, and we're here to help. If anybody has any questions about any type of risk, whether it be life insurance, health insurance, any of the different kinds of risks, we're here to help. And we go as unpaid consultants when that comes around. Thanks.
Awesome, Dennis.
That's great.
Those are great too. Those 3 things, I had to write them down because those are great. I think they're powerful as well. They'll get you far. Thanks so much for being here, man.
Well,
all right. If we've missed you, go ahead and drop it in the chat. But we'll let Majid go. So Majid, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll have Clayton go, and then Andrew and I will go, and then we'll start.
Yeah, well, you guys are about to find out what we do, so I'll do for that. And then when it comes down to your question,
what is your favorite thing about yourself?
Man, if I had to think about it, I would guess curiosity. I'm extremely curious, which makes me very fractionalized, right? And kind of gives me more of a growth mindset than a fixed one. So always looking to learn, always looking to grow, and I enjoy the process of it.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. That's really awesome. And yes, we will learn about what you're doing here shortly, but curiosity, I wanted to write that one down. That's a good one too. And then how that develops into the growth mindset. I really like that. Clayton, how will you respond to our question of the day, sir?
Question of the day. Wow, get to go last. So how do I answer that without sounding like I'm copying people? A lot of you hit on some great things, but to try to differentiate, I will say fearless comes to mind, whether it's good for me or not. Certainly just gone for it and always found a way to make things happen one way or another. But more importantly, I would go back to what Jacob was saying, and that's heart. And that actually came from my grandfather as well. I'm willing to truly listen to anyone, give anyone a chance, and I truly do want to help, and I truly want to be a friend to people, whether it's a business relationship or someone I meet on the street that needs help. For self-serving reasons too, it makes me feel good. I have a reward center that is there for trying to do right by other people and truly trying to be there for them.
Yeah. Awesome, dude. Awesome. Good stuff. Well, Andrew, what about you? Tell us a little bit about, people know about us, but go ahead.
You're going to make me do it?
Yeah.
Well, Damon and I are, most of y'all have ever heard this before. Damon and I are partners. We founded Exit Your Way, and we're a M&A advisory firm and a boutique consulting group. And we specialize. We work with small, medium-sized businesses, and we help juice their companies to sell them for more money. So that's Exit Your Way. Hopefully, it says what it is. And we love doing it. It's a lot of fun to see somebody, get their, what they deserve, for really their life work and the biggest investment in their life. So it's quite an honor to be able to participate in that.
Yeah.
The question, damn it. I thought, it's my body, the hot bod was kind of my favorite thing, but I thought about that a little bit. I curiosity, I think, but that's great. And always kind of wanting to learn. As I get older too, and I see, my parents and other folks, and they just stop, kind of learning, and I just don't do that. But honestly, I think that's a good trait. But I think my most favorite thing, I think, is my sense of humor. So just love to laugh, and like to make people laugh. And, I don't know if that's frivolous or not, but I think if we can't laugh at it, at the end of the day, what's it all about anyway? So.
Yeah. That's a good one. It's a good one.
I don't know if I'm funny or not, but my kids don't think so.
That's normal dad stuff, though.
Yeah.
We're funny in our minds way more than they think we are, or they don't show
session one of these days.
Yeah. There you go.
Bring your best.
Yeah, there's just something about that. It makes you laugh. All right, so I'm down to the question of the day. What do my favorite thing about myself? I think that comes to two things. And I wasn't even thinking about this before I wrote the question down. I think heart and I think tenacity or resilience. You look at those things and Grant said something too that really entirely redeemable came to mind, is because I don't know what it is. I don't know if I was inspired by my father throughout my life, him being handicapped and one leg, and watching him farm for my whole life growing up, and being able to just put his mind and doing something and overcoming odds and not even thinking about them really, and just going through it. That gave me the tenacity to be able to just, get punched really hard and get back up and just go, what are we doing now? I mean, we just got punched. It's time to figure out what we're going to do and move forward. And I like that. And when Jacob said heart, I've learned to get better at that. And I do like that I'm getting better at that, because honestly, if you had known me, 25 years ago, I could be kind of an asshole. To be real honest, running a business, I was in it young, and I did it. And I apologize to those people that I was helping in those days. And hopefully that my tenacity and being nice when it wasn't in those situations helped outweigh that. But that's my deal, is tenacity. I'm getting better. I'm a recovering person on that. Yeah. So anyway, we are going to start now with Majid and Clayton talking about IoT Industry 4.0. These guys do stuff that's really cool, and I think that we want to let them talk a little bit about how they help people. And then I've got some questions too that I want to see, because IoT is basically coming into everything we do, but and that's one of the things I want to cover. But I want to let you guys talk about some of the stuff that you help companies do right now, because it's super cool. So take it away, guys.
Yeah. So thanks for having us on your platform, Damon. We really appreciate it. When it comes to IoT, guys, it's really, really simple. There's more devices today on the planet than there are people, right? And a lot of these devices are connected. So like your Nest thermostat at home, you can start thinking about all the devices. Like when you press your garage door, there's a lot of different access points, but there's a lot of data there, right? There's a lot of data. There's a lot of information there, and being able to take that data and make it useful is really where IoT is. It's not just here, but it's here to stay, and it's going to make major improvements on multiple different levels. Obviously, we don't do as much on the residential or the people side. We work mostly in the manufacturing industrial space, and what we've been able to do there really kind of hits a lot of my hot buttons, which are And when we're talking about saving the planet, when we start talking about climate change, we start talking about, all those hot discussion points now that weren't discussion points 5 years ago when we jumped into it. It's not just something that is that's on the horizon. It's already in play on a larger level, which is where we play with some of the bigger enterprise level companies out there. But we are going to start seeing a trickle down effect here, over the next couple of years, and it's really exciting to see the adoption of this technology. Not just now it's kind of pocketed, but as it starts getting mass scale, I really believe that we're going to be able to make a huge turn. I think there's a lot of people that say, hey, there's a problem, and we don't know what the solution is, but technology usually has a way of creeping up and fixing those issues, as generations go by. I got 2 little ones, I want to make sure that when I leave, the planet's there for them and that they're doing, good things. So I really believe that this technology is going to be able to not just help us today, not just help the companies of today, but really kind of set the landscape for tomorrow. Clayton, you want to add anything to what basic IoT might be?
You covered that very well, because it can get a little nitty gritty. You can get into some weeds, as we say. But in our experience, there is not a company out there that we have spoken to that is not currently investigating it, trying to learn about it, testing it, and also implementing it in some way, shape, or form. They all recognize the power of the data and the information, and they're all trying to figure out what that means to their business and how to apply it as such. So it's a very exciting time. It is the wild, wild west in many, many ways. Reminds me of, VHS or beta, looking at different platforms and standards and what's really going to take off. And, we're really starting to see the market shake out in some big ways and really moving towards an approach of systems, right?
Yeah.
Where every machine manufacturer, every equipment manufacturer might have a web-enabled platform that gets you into their HVAC unit or whatever the piece of equipment is. But how do we then make all those things talk together? How do we aggregate data? How do we distribute it in a timely manner to the right people at the right time to prevent things like unplanned downtime, things of that nature? So it is a very exciting time. These pieces are starting to come together. Companies that we work with, some of the larger enterprise ones, are actually giving us a front row seat with their internal development of how they're aggregating these systems and how they're writing their own custom software to bring in all the different IoT pieces and devices into their enterprise. So it's just been a ton of fun, honestly.
Yeah.
Headed to some good places.
Yeah, I mean, I know you guys are working with large manufacturers, but I think too, even for us in a personal manner, I mean, like when you look at things that we have now in our homes, just like the Nest or Ring doorbells that you have, when someone comes to your door, you can talk to them no matter where you are. I've scared the hell out of people because they've dropped stuff off their house and we've been someplace else, and you talk to them, they're like, hey, you're not supposed to be here. Yeah, right. But those kind of things, or even just like the thermostats that we have in our home, and being able to adjust the temperature of your home based on it knows if you're home or not. And the energy savings you can see from those kind of things. It's just really all the way into the lighting now, and the lighting in your homes and other things you can control in your internal systems. And I know those are really simple versions of what you guys are doing, because you have a lot more data points to be monitoring and telling the right people. But I think this is, as we move forward, as you said, Majid, this is going to trickle down into cars talking to each other when we're on the road, I think, and more things like that help us be safer and save more energy. Because go ahead.
There's actually, when you start talking about trickle down effect, you start talking about homes and cars, the big getting ahead of things. If you think where there's issues in a home, right, when you start about why home because of things.
Yep.
The big thing that IoT allows you is out of those. So you got to, saying, hey, you know what? Your dryer fan's about to blow out, and that could cause a fire. You have 15 days to replace it before there is a fire, right?
Yeah.
If you got that text message, now it's about being proactive, and you actually have your home communicating with you comparatively to you having to figure out what's happening. And that's really going to be the main shift. It's not just going to be about cool little niceties. These are things that are going to actually save lives.
Yeah, that's a great point. And Clayton, you were going to say something.
Yeah, no, just in its most simple terms, to add to what Majid is saying, is we're getting into things like your personal safety, where your house is lighting when you come into a geofence, when you come close to your home, right? It might turn on the outside lights, turn on your living room lights, open your garage door for you. When I tell Siri good night, she's programmed in my house to turn off all the lights and make sure the garage door is closed and the locks are locked, so we're talking about our modern day conveniences, our safety, and then obviously the proactive things that Majid was touching on that might actually save you money or save a life potentially. These are great advances, and if they're embraced, which they are becoming, it will really reshape our relationship with the technology and our things. It's fun.
Yeah, no doubt. And what you guys are doing, working with the larger manufacturing clients and other clients like that have significant facilities and things that they're taking care of, what are some of the things that they see from you're doing, like in terms of energy usage reduction and just simplification of things as you tie pieces together with IoT? What are some of the things the benefits that they see?
I'll start off here, Clay. So the biggest thing is getting access to information, right? Because right now, most companies are flying blind when it comes to their operations. And that's why it's such a cluster when it comes to decision making at companies, because nobody wants to put their job in their line by making a decision where they could be wrong, right?
Yeah.
But if they had actual data to say, hey, here's the data, here's why I made that decision, now you basically eliminate a lot of that bureaucracy in corporate America, right? So, and you just get to make quicker decisions, more accurate decisions. And the way that we do that is we basically digitize the facility. Now we're able to take IoT intelligence, and right now the way that we're doing it is we're putting it into the lighting fixtures themselves, to where all the lighting basically communicates with each other and could measure or monitor any person, process, entity within the facility. So basically what you've done is you've created a digital blueprint of your facility, that now you've taken your facility that used to have one function, like a flip phone, right? And you've made it into an iPhone, which has like now thousands of functionalities, tons of apps, and scalable. So it's really future-proofing the business for not just what's here, but what's for things that are to come.
Nice. So how does this specifically help? So you're working with the lighting, you're working with the other systems in these facilities. How does this help with things like predictive maintenance? You talked about future-proofing the company, and then the other thing that comes to mind is automating processes. So I'll let you guys talk about those just a moment.
Yeah, I'll let Clay take this one.
Thank you, Majid. Thank you. So predictive and preventative maintenance is big. Predictive is, I think, one of the biggest buzzwords in the business now. So what we're currently doing with our customers is, Majid touched on the fact that we're deploying wireless communication systems through the lighting. We're building infrastructure. Off of that infrastructure, we're then piggybacking any kind of IoT device or sensor you can think of that's made by any third party out there to solve any problem that a customer may have. So when we start looking at predictive maintenance, what our customers are currently doing is they're deploying power meters, vibration sensors, right, and temperature sensors. And think of a building that has hundreds or thousands of motors in it. They're all at a different life cycle stage. So when we look at that and we start putting these sensors on them and baselining each one of these pieces of equipment to understand its unique signature, whether it's amperage current draw, whether it's a vibration signature, a temperature output of the bearings that are running, or the exhaust air coming out of an HVAC unit to determine its health, whatever that case is, once we analyze and baseline and trend that data over time, we can then plug that into what is probably the most powerful part of IoT, which is alarm architecture. So if you start thinking about you walking into a building, a plant, whatever, every piece of equipment has what we call a point system. It has a light or an alarm telling you something's wrong, but they're not tied together, right? And the day that something's going wrong, that first domino has fallen, the person who's in charge of that is in a meeting. They're on vacation. They're out sick. They're at a trade show. Right? So the potential for disaster is high. So imagine taking that health information and that data and being able to distribute that information to the right people at the right time through SMS notifications, email notifications, being able to say, hey, if my set point for vibration or temperature varies by 2 degrees, one person needs to know about it. If it goes up another 5 degrees, 5 people need to know about it, or regional or corporate or quality control or whoever the case is. It's about aggregation of all of that information so it can get to the people that can actually do something about it before it becomes a problem. And that is really probably the most exciting thing for our customers, is getting this baseline information from their facilities and listening to the machines, listening to what the systems are telling them, and then developing that architecture so that they are able to respond to things before they happen. Make sense?
Yeah. Yep. I'm writing this down too, because back I used to run molding plants, and molding machines will sit there. They will literally run for months at a time without stopping. And we used to do things like oil sample analysis that would tell us if the pumps were getting bad, and we would replace the pumps, not based on a pump failing, but based on the fact that there was the test told us that it was failing. And then I've done work in processing plants before too, where, like you're saying, they used to have PLC systems that were connected to things, but oftentimes they just turned pumps on and off. They didn't really read that a pump was experiencing a higher amperage load like you're talking about, or that vibration was getting bad, if that's a way to measure how that's working. And what you're saying is I think is really relevant for a lot of people. And when we talk about this too, this kind of stuff is going to translate into automotive and everything else as we look at our lives too, because our car can tell us that there are problems. It already does a lot more than it ever did. Yeah, but Dennis brings up the tire pressure monitors on the car. That's a great example. That's a great example. But in a manufacturing facility, it can mean tens of thousands of dollars if you in downtime, or hundreds of thousands of dollars in downtime if a critical pump goes out, or if something goes out of specification, like you said, if someone doesn't take care of it really quickly.
Yeah,
it's really something.
I know that you also brought up process automation, Damon, and one of the things with process automation is really the next steps that we're taking right now. And Clayton, while I'm talking, I don't know if you have a heat map or something that you could show. We'll kind of show you some of the software that we're utilizing. We can't show too much data because obviously some of it's client sensitive. But once you have an overarching viewpoint of your facility, you could really see the occupancy in the area, and you could tie your processes in to that occupancy. So like for example, John Deere, which is not a client of ours, but they just did a study with their dust collectors. Clayton, do you want to, while you're showing this, do you want to kind of go a little bit further into it?
Yeah, so what Majid's talking about is what's the next step once you have all this data, and what can you do with this data? So what you're looking at on the screen is a production floor, playing back in real time occupancy trends and data throughout a day within this building. And what we can do, what John Deere did, and Damon, you talked about it. They went back to their PLCs, their runtime data, and they were able to determine through this occupancy information, comparing this occupancy data that the lighting is collecting in the facility through their sensors, comparing that to the PLC runtime data on the dust collectors, and determined that like 60% of the time, people were not actually running the production lines when the dust collectors were operating, which have high horsepower fan motors and compressed air, which are very, very expensive. So what we can actually do now, which is kind of incredible, is we can go into load control capabilities, and we can tie the actual occupancy data from a lighting system. For example, what I'm doing is I'm setting a sample, what we call trigger nodes. Let's say a dust collector was in this area. Well, I can just go select these sensors in that area and tie their occupancy to a relay to turn something on and off in its most simple form. So John Deere brought this to Digital Lumens, which is the technology platform that we are implementing, and simply said, hey, we would like to use your occupancy data to control our dust collectors. And they're saving $250,000 now by simply identifying occupancy-based trends to control motors within their facility. It's a couple clicks of a button, set some timeouts and settings, and hit save, and now they've automated a really simple piece of equipment.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool, because it when we talk about those kind of savings, those are direct savings on energy costs and other things that when we tie that back into, yeah, it's dollars and everything, but yeah, and it is, and that's important. But when we look at the overall globe and trying to be better citizens of the earth, really reducing energy use consumption will get us a lot farther than really anything else. We look at increasing efficiencies of cars and all this other stuff, but this kind of energy usage is where you make the biggest difference.
Well, this is a small piece of it. So energy consumption, energy reduction is obviously huge, but the things when it comes to for companies, they don't want to pollute, right? Companies don't want to pollute. They don't want to have harmful chemicals going into their waterways. They don't want harmful gases getting out of their facility. So if you had measurement devices within you could literally put alarms in letting you know that, hey, there's X amount of parts per million is going into the waterway. You could shut down things and avoid those hefty EPA fines. And so you're really starting to now control or you actually have a visual as to what's actually happening, where you're actually polluting, and then be able to be proactive and get ahead of it. So when we talk about saving the planet, it's not just energy consumption. The energy reduction, honestly, what that does, it makes the project move forward because there's an ROI attached to it. Right, but all the other nuances is really where we hit home when it comes to helping the environment, because when you can start monitoring the harmful things that are getting out, and be able to get ahead of it, now you're truly making an impact.
Yeah. And Clayton, you were going to say something as well there.
Well, I was just going to add some real life examples when we talk to our customers, anything from air scrubbers to wastewater plants. Majid touched on, the pH, water temperature discharge, parts per million discharge. These are all bad things, right? We want to control that. A, it costs the company money, but B, more importantly, we need to focus on sustainability and being better stewards of our planet. And these are technologies that can really get a handle on that. Air scrubbers, making sure that we're not releasing dirty air. I was talking to a customer last year, And unfortunately, in some cases, we're only as good as our people. And unfortunately, sometimes we don't have good people. And,
Yeah.
and we see that with companies that have multiple sites, that have some scale. And this particular plant manager at a steel facility, the pickling line, knew that the scrubber was not working correctly, did nothing about it, and the company got hit with a $600,000 fine. Well, why did they do nothing about it? I can't get in the psychology of that person, but had they had the infrastructure and the systems and the alarm architecture in place, we could have prevented harmful chemicals being released into the local community and to our earth, and we could have saved the company a ton of money. So we see these as examples time after time after time. And when we sit down with a customer and literally ask them a very simple question: what pains you? When something goes wrong, what is it? And is there a sensor made that can monitor and measure whatever led up to that problem that we can implement or integrate into our solution and therefore solve it? So it's very powerful.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one more thing to add to that about, you were touching on energy savings. Well, now that you have a wireless infrastructure throughout your facility, think of an average building. How many pieces of electrical equipment are there? How many machines are there? How many motors are operating? Well, you can now move wireless power meters around. This is what we're doing for Kohler Kitchen and Bath right now in one of their major manufacturing facilities, their corporate headquarters here in Wisconsin. Is we're moving meters and we're studying use patterns of equipment instead of someone having to manually walk up to a PLC, pull the data out, go put it into spreadsheets, somehow correlate that information with other PLC data on a spreadsheet. We can actually pull that real-time data, and it's a lot of fun when I get to call the energy team up there and tell them, hey, your guys are misbehaving again. You're not turning anything off. I see it running at 100% of the time. And I go back and I look at the charts, and for a week, they're turning off all the dust collectors. And then the next week, everything's on for 2 weeks. And then I say something, and then the pattern repeats. But that's how we find the use cases, by studying those patterns with the devices to implement psychological and behavioral changes within those facilities. But now the next step prior to COVID was automating that process for Kohler. To be able to go in and put in these industrial relays, just like John Deere did, and turn these things on and off based on real-time production occupancy data. So the customers have these incredible tools now with that infrastructure to go seek out and study and find energy savings opportunities that they did not know about. That particular facility is over 10 million square feet of buildings. So how do you possibly get a handle on everything happening in that building?
Yeah.
Funny story about it. We actually landed that account because they had a pipe burst on an outside wall in a basement, a steam pipe burst that froze, right? And they said, wait a second, you guys can warn us that a VAV box failed in a dark corner of a building on a 10 million square foot campus, and we could have prevented all of that damage and downtime? Yeah, it's a $50 sensor.
Yeah.
We're now monitoring that throughout the sensitive areas of the building, to make sure something like that never happens again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, and I just a funny example of that too. I know someone that was monitoring, was responsible for building maintenance in a large corporation in California, in one of their headquarters, and they had this is the simplest thing. Each floor, of course, each area had these automatic coffee makers, and they had an automatic coffee maker that somebody moved and broke the water line on a Thursday or Friday, and it ran all weekend.
Yeah,
created like $200,000 worth of damage because it obviously threw floors, it ruined everything, and they made a simple sensor that just hooked up, and it would turn on a light or some darn thing and light in the room if the water ran freely. And so you think of these little things and what you're doing with the lighting that allows you to pick that sensor up and then that signal up and send it to somebody. That's even more powerful and so cool. And there's so many applications, like you're saying, in industrial settings and office settings, honestly. So good stuff, guys. This is awesome. Well, I want to first of all, we're at the end, and I can see Andrew's giving me the eye. We're getting close to 9 o'clock. We got to stop. So I wanted to thank you guys, Majid, Majid, and Clayton, for stopping your day and helping us with understanding IoT and showing us some of the cool stuff you guys do. It's absolutely fascinating to me. I get super excited about it because it's so cool to see how simple technology can be deployed and then used to really make big difference. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having us, Damon.
Yeah, thank you.
Andrew, take us away, man.
Hey, and another thing, hey, Clayton, Majid, that was fantastic. But, you guys have a great, ROI for your clients. I mean, you're doing things for them to help them save money. But I think I wanted to add another point to it that comes from our experience. You're not only, are you looking at, potential savings for the kind of things that you do with the company. This is one of the things we do that's integral to Exit Your Way, is that people don't realize this too, but this increases the value of the business. Yeah, when we do this at an exit too, you may have been, if you've reduced, just for a simple example, if you reduced your costs, your expenses by 50%, yeah, that is lost money in the past. But at that point in time in the future, I'm putting my valuation hat on now too. The buyers adjust for that right now, ongoing. So we go back and adjust all the way down to now what is the actual budgeted level for that expense. And if you take that, if you save just $10,000 a year on that, which it goes to the bottom line, the value of the company, if it's going to get sold for 6 times that, you just added $60,000 in value to your business. And that's just a small side example, right? So just wanted to, so I mean, the ROI is bigger than sometimes they even, if they look a little closer at it, than they even know. So this is great stuff, and I think. Again, and that's what we want with Exit Your Way, is to bring folks like you in to help these business owners get the most out of their business, and they got to know your value and watch that value. So, good stuff, guys. Thanks.
Appreciate
Thanks so much, everyone. Thanks so much for on LinkedIn Live, man. We had tons of comments. Thank you, everyone there. We had people from literally all over the globe watching us today. We always appreciate that and appreciate the comments there as well. We're going to end the broadcast on LinkedIn Live, and then if you want to stick around and talk to these guys for a couple minutes after the event on Remo, we'll be here. Thanks, everyone. All right, get this.
So I think Dan, let's see.